A diverse portfolio helps investors hedge concentration risk. And while portfolio or investment diversification is important, locations or economies where you put your money is equally crucial. When you turn towards international markets, you have the options of investing in developed markets, emerging markets, and frontier markets. Let us understand what each of these markets are and how can one invest in them. While there is no one standard definition of each of these markets, experts point out that there are a number of characteristics that are hallmarks of each. For instance, developed nations usually have more advanced economies, better developed infrastructure, and higher per capita income. Western economists consider $15,000 to $20,000 per capita GDP to be a sufficient range for developed status. That apart, developed economies are also characterized with highly developed capital markets, regulatory bodies, and high household incomes. However, a high per capita GDP alone does not confer developed economy status without other non-economic factors such as infant mortality rate and life expectancy. For example, the United Nations still considers Qatar, which had one of the world's highest per capita GDP in 2021 at around $62,000, a developing economy. This is because the nation has extreme income inequality, lack of infrastructure, and limited educational opportunities for non-affluent citizens. Overall, various organizations including World Bank, the United Nations, MSCI, FTSE, and Standard & Poor's consider about 25 nations as developed economies. These include Australia, Austria, Belgium, Denmark, Canada, France, Germany, Hong Kong, Italy, Japan, New Zealand, Norway, Portugal, Singapore, Spain, Switzerland, the US, and the UK. According to the World Bank, countries with low, middle, and upper middle incomes per capita relative to incomes in other countries around the globe are labeled as developing or emerging. Developing countries or economies are those which do not enjoy the same level of economic security, industrialization, and growth like the developed countries. It includes the nations that do not have the economic strength of developed nations but are in the process of becoming developed economies. It pegs per capita income for emerging markets between at $4,095 or less. But for investors, the emerging markets offer a greater amount of liquidity as well as stability. Emerging market countries include BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Besides, Mexico, Pakistan, and Saudi Arabia are other developing economies. The third one is frontier market. They are somewhat less advanced capital markets in the developing world. These markets are in a country that is more established than the least developed nations. It is still less established than the emerging markets because it is too small, carries too much inherent risk, or is too illiquid to be considered an emerging market. That is why they are sometimes called as pre-emerging markets. So, based on these criteria, frontier markets include the likes of Colombia, Indonesia, Vietnam, Egypt, Turkey, and Nigeria. So, if you want to invest in these countries, here are a few things you should know. One of the easiest ways to incorporate stocks from various markets is to purchase shares in managed funds. Secondly, bear in mind the risk, liquidity, and growth potential of a given country before investing. That apart, investors must balance the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats before investing in a particular country. They should also make trade-offs and place bets among debt, equity, domestic, international, growth, and safer options. If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views, and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram, and LinkedIn.
सब अच्छी दिख रही हैं यार, कौन सी खरीदूं?
ये तो वही बात हुई, 4000 शेयर्स लिस्टेड है, कौन सा लूं?
वो तो सबसे आसान है।
तुझे 5 पैसा नहीं पता?
अब तो सबको पता है। 5 पैसा पर है 4000 स्टॉक्स की रिसर्च, टेक्निकल टूल्स और इन्वेस्टमेंट आइडियाज। डाउनलोड 5 पैसा नाउ।
अब तो सबको पता है, investing made easy and rewarding with 5 paisa. Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.